A highly dangerous virus called hybrid has spread in the city, causing newborns to look nothing like humans, but rather a mix of humans and animals. If the virus infects an adult, they die within a few days. At this point, we are introduced to Dr. Adifir Singh and his wife, Ronnie Singh. Ronnie has been infected with this virus, and Dr. Adifir is rushing her to the hospital. Along the way, he witnesses chaos throughout the city due to the virus. At another place, we meet the film's main character, Gus. His father is trying to take him far away from the city, into the forest, to protect him from the Last Men Army, who are capturing and experimenting on these special children known as hybrid children. One day, someone in the forest spots Gus and recognizes him as a hybrid child because of his horns. The man places a pink ribbon in the area to mark the presence of a hybrid child, and then leaves. In the following days, Gus's father becomes infected with the virus and dies, leaving Gus alone. Gus finds a map at home and follows it to a tree. There, after digging, he discovers another map and a picture of a woman. Gus believes she might be his mother, so he sets out to find her. Before leaving, he sets his house on fire. Seeing the smoke, the Last Men Army quickly arrives, and they are about to kill Gus when a black man named Tommy arrives and saves him. Gus tells Tommy that he wants to search for his mother. Tommy advises him to stay hidden for his safety, as it is very dangerous outside, but Gus ignores his warning and follows him. In the next scene, we see a woman named Amy, who had been hiding in her office since the virus outbreak. When she finally steps outside, she is shocked to see the entire city deserted and empty. Amy had a deep love for animals, so she starts living in the city's zoo. One day, she finds a hybrid baby girl who is very adorable. Amy names her Wendy and decides to raise her as her own child. Meanwhile, Gus and Tommy reach a house while searching for food, where a couple lives with their child. Both enjoy each other's company, and Gus plays with the couple's children. Gus tells them that he's searching for his mother, and Uncle Tommy is helping him. At this point, we learn that Tommy was once a member of the Last Men Army, but has now left that team. Tommy is leaving the house with plenty of food when he asks the woman to keep Gus with her. However, just then the Last Men Army arrives to kill Gus. Tommy fights them off, killing each one. The man in the house tells Tommy he cannot keep Gus with them because if the Last Men Army comes looking, it will put his family in danger. So, Tommy takes Gus and leaves. Meanwhile, Dr. Adifir is injecting a vaccine into his wife to keep her alive, which he obtained from a woman. However, she refuses to make any more vaccines and instead gives him a book to help him make it himself. While reading the book, Dr. Adifir discovers that creating a vaccine for the hybrid virus requires the organs of hybrid children. Being a good person, Dr. Adifir refuses to sacrifice any hybrid children to save his wife. Tommy and Gus were preparing to head into the city, so Tommy changed Gus's appearance to prevent him from being recognized as a hybrid child, as the Last Men Army was everywhere. They both reached a train station, where Tommy sat Gus down on a bench and went to get train tickets. Meanwhile, a girl named Bear approached and tried to take Gus with her. Tommy saw this, caught up to them, and brought Gus back towards the train. As they were boarding, Gus suddenly smelled medicine, and the two climbed into the train's medical compartment. However, guards caught them trying to take the medicine and tied them up, planning to take them into the forest to kill them. At that moment, a group of people wearing animal masks appeared and saved them from the Last Men Army. The leader of this group was Bear, the girl Gus had met at the train station. This group rescues hybrid children from the Last Men Army because they believe humans are destroying the world and that only hybrid children can save it. A conflict arises within the group when they recognize Tommy as a former member of the Last Men Army and want to kill him. Taking advantage of the situation, Tommy and Gus escape. On the other hand, Amy had gathered many hybrid children at the zoo, coordinating through radio communication. However, she feared the Last Men Army might track her location through the radio. Bear, after a dispute with her team, left them and continued with Gus. She gave Gus a map with the name and address of his mother's hometown. On the other side, a crowd gathered outside the doctor's house because they had learned that his wife was infected with the hybrid virus. The crowd tied up both the doctor and his wife and set the house on fire. However, just then the general of the Last Men Army arrived and saved them. The general had been sent by the woman from whom the doctor had gotten the book on making the vaccine. Eventually, the three of them reached a train and boarded, only to realize that it belonged to the Last Men Army, as it was filled with their supplies. Meanwhile, the Last Men Army had found out about Amy, and the hybrid children with her. They marked the area around her location with pink ribbons, indicating that they would soon conduct a search operation there. However, Amy managed to escape with the hybrid children through a tunnel that led to a church. On the train, someone spotted the three of them and tried to kill Gus. Tommy began to fight back, only to realize the man was actually an old friend from his childhood. This friend helped Gus by locating his mother's address and advised them to get off the train quickly, as the Last Men Army had been alerted about them. Finally, following the address, Gus reached his mother's house. Although he didn't find her there, he met her friend, who explained that years ago, Gus's mother had gone into the forest to look for him and hadn't been seen since. The woman gives Gus the key to a storm room, where he finds a file with his name on it. Reading it, he discovers that she is not his mother and that he was actually created in a lab, the same lab where the hybrid virus originated as part of his creation. Shocked and unable to process this revelation, Gus runs off into the forest. The scene then flashes back to 10 years earlier, when experiments were being conducted to create Gus. In the lab, we see Earl, Gus's forest father, working as a cleaner, and Syra, who is the lead scientist on the Gus project. One evening, they meet in a bar where Syra tells him everything about her project. She explains that they are trying to create a medicine that will make people immune to illness, and are also working on a new creature as part of this effort. During their conversation, she receives a call from a friend informing her that the military has taken over her lab and is seizing everything. Before this, Syra had hidden Gus in a secret room. She and Earl rush to the lab, where she entrusts Gus to him, telling him to take him far away into the forest. Meanwhile, the Last Men Army finally manages to capture Amy and the hybrid children. Gus, still running, reaches a crashed plane. Tommy catches up to him and tells him there's nothing wrong with being a hybrid. He even had a child just like Gus. When his child was born, he was initially scared and left the room, unsure of what to do. But when he returned, both his child and his wife had been taken by the Last Men Army. He joined them to try to find his family. Just then, Tommy is shot in the chest and collapses, while the general's men capture Gus and take him to Dr. Adifier to use his organs to create a vaccine for the hybrid virus. In captivity, Gus meets many other hybrid children like himself. Amy, who rescued Tommy, takes him back to her home, where he eventually recovers. In the final scene, Bear receives a call from an unknown number. It's Syra, the scientist who created the hybrids in the lab. And with this revelation, the season ends.